Barb Abney, and I am joined by my friend R.T Rybak, former mayor of Minneapolis. Hi.
Former mayor and always friend of Barb. Super happy to be here.
I've been sitting here calling it Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de washed up mayoral.
Oh, well, I mean, it's been 2 years.
Yes.
But I wonder if any other mayor has ever crowd surfed at First Avenue.
Well, many people think I've sort of overdone that, and I had to do it with my book release the other day.
Right.
But, I won't do it all the time. But, why would you not crowd surf at First Avenue other than a whole lot of reasons? Mayor Ness of Duluth probably will never do it because I talked him into doing it, and he fell and all sorts of things. Well, not completely fell, but it's a long story.
Not as many people caught him as caught you? Is that what we're saying?
He said that he was lanky, which creates one problem while crowd surfing because I'm a more
stable.
Manageable. Yes. He was not built as aerodynamically as I am, but he is taller. Why did I get into all that? Anyway.
No. So only R.T Rybak can have a book release, like the biggest book club ever, like sell out First Avenue in the main room.
Pothole Confidential.
Yes.
Available at finer stores everywhere.
What was the name of that book again?
Pothole Confidential. I'm glad you asked.
Would you be able to read any of this book for me?
Oh, all right. I've got a couple little things here that are just sort of odd, funny things. There's one chapter called Rookie Mistakes about all the stupid things I did when I first came in. So here's a quick one. After all these mistakes, it was about that time that I walked into the TV studio on the first floor of City Hall for the Mayor's Roundtable, the public access cable show Mayor Sales Belton and Fraser had done when they were in office. I put on a mic on my lapel and hopped up on the stool in front of the camera, and the live show began. "Welcome to the Mayor's Roundtable," I said cheerily, trying to set a casual tone. I then ad-libbed. As you can see, there's no round table in the studio, and looking around for the only furniture I could see, I said, maybe we should call it the Mayor's Stool. And that was many things I said in the first year in office that I now regret. So the book is about that kind of stuff, but also about some very serious things, about what's it like to be with a mom whose kid has been shot on a corner, what's it like when a bridge collapses. And it's sort of some drama, some Veep, all kind of meshed together because that's the way the job is.
And this man has a star on the wall at First Avenue outside. I've touched your star, by the way. I was so excited to see it that night.
Happy. Well, I could have gotten a Nobel Peace Prize and wouldn't have made me happier. There's a video out there of me finding out about it, and I look shocked.
You do look shocked. You had no idea?
Well, I mean, can you imagine? It was very cool.
I think other than how excited you were about it, the idea that Conrad was smiling.
Yeah. Conrad, anybody who knows First Avenue knows Conrad is the guy who makes it all work. And he's a wonderful guy who I don't think has grinned in a long time.
It's been a while, I think. He's not known for, you don't see his teeth when he smiles. Right. How's that? He smiles with his inside voice. So seeing him smile and making you, it was just awesome.
Cool.
So how about we talk about your brand new job?
Yeah. I am going to be the new CEO of the Minneapolis Foundation, which is an amazing organization. The organization and its donors give away $60 to $80 million a year for wonderful things in the community. It has a lot to do with education, but also youth and health and the arts. And so that'll be great. It will allow me to keep working on education, especially education disparities, which I do now at Generation Next. So I can do a lot of the things that I cared about as mayor in a very different way, but also hopefully lay some groundwork for people building all the great things for tomorrow's generation that we got. You think about the lakes and all these great things that are the paths around the lakes and all these art institutions and nonprofits. They were built by people generations ago. And one of the cool things the Minneapolis Foundation does, it has this thing called the Forever Fund, which invests money for the next generation.
Oh, wow.
Which is a very cool thing. So I'm really excited about the job.
I'm Barb Abney talking with R.T Rybak. Now that you've got this job with the Minneapolis Foundation, does this mean you're leaving politics behind forever?
Well, I'm definitely not going to do anything politically for a while. I'm going to spend a few years really dug into the Minneapolis Foundation. I don't take anything off the table. I loved being mayor, and, I don't rule out running for something sometime, but that's really not my deal right now. I think the thing is that I've been a politician. But sometimes when you get that word next to your name, people think that all you are about is politics. If you really kind of look at it, I've done a bunch of things that are civic or public, but you don't have to be a public official to do public work. So the Generation Next work in education is public work. The Minneapolis Foundation is probably the single best job I could possibly have to do great stuff for the city I love, and it's exactly where my heart is. So, I think people need to care a lot about who's in politics and how it works. And one of the reasons I wrote the book was so people could understand it's not just one person, it's a culture around it. And I think we've lost a lot of the culture of us holding our electeds accountable, but also holding up when work is done well, or holding up people who want to go into that. And so I think there's a lot of ways for me to make a contribution without running for office.
Totally. But I have to ask, because you've been so close to the community and everybody loves RT.
Oh, there are some, I can give you names of others, but thanks.
Both the people who don't like RT probably aren't listening to my show anyway. But do you have any ideas about how to get younger people involved and interested in, civic duty and voting and taking part in politics?
Well, the good news is they absolutely are. I had a really great experience in the 2 Obama campaigns where I got to work with very young people, very often idealistic, and really wanting to make a difference. And you see that in lots of campaigns now, but what's even more important is that people don't have to, again, do public work just by working for public officials. When I go around the community and I see the amazing work being done with young people, it's almost always youngish people, young adults, millennials doing this kind of work. Climate, nobody has to wake this generation up to the climate crisis. LGBT rights, absolutely new views on race and racism, and being much more open to a pluralistic community where we come from lots of places and we can all live together. I am incredibly hopeful about this. I was at this amazing thing at the university the other day with junior high students doing videos about the challenges we have. Look, 10 minutes in that and people would feel great about this generation.
Totally. What are you listening to right now?
Actually, what's pretty interesting is our daughter made us sit down and watch Lemonade. And it was really powerful. I mean, it was great music, but it was also just this, I don't even know what to describe what Lemonade was. It's a video album or visual album, but boy, that was really kind of wonderful. So I do that. I keep a good Spotify list, and when you guys play something on air, I Shazam it, put it on Spotify, but then go down to the Electric Fetus and buy it.
Rock on.
And so I listen to all sorts of different things. It comes from all over the place. A lot of it is, I believe the greatest album of all time is Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. And
I'd have to agree, yeah.
I'm a Talking Heads fan, but there's a lot of good new stuff too.
I always, when I think of you, I think of Trampled by Turtles.
Yeah.
I think of oh God, I love those guys so much.
Well, I think one of the things about them is that, Dave Simonette is our Bruce Springsteen, I think. When you really kind of think about someone who captures the zeitgeist of the place. I went to Boston College, so most of my friends were from New Jersey or New York, and they were really, really early on Springsteen before it came up, and it crossed over in a way that really communicated to people. And I think that's one of the things that Trampled does for the state. They're not the only. There's so many other great bands. I remember being at First Avenue and seeing Hippocampus for the first time and thinking, okay, this is an amazing sound coming out of it. Or Lizzo, or of course Dessa. There's so much great stuff coming out of here, and it's tough to keep up. But then I'll go to the Cedar, and I want to see the new King Sunny Ade show coming up. So I'm all over the map.
You are all over the map. Yeah. Okay, here's I think a question. I feel like I have to ask everybody this because
this is a big one.
For me it is, because if I cry, you'll understand.
Okay.
Everybody has a Prince story of some sort. What's your Prince story?
My Prince story. I think my Prince story, I never met Prince. Or I might have met him at some, I don't think though. But I did when the Purple Rain tour was just starting. It was one of those things where it's 5 p.m, the rumor spreads, go to First Avenue. we showed up at First Avenue and he played, and it was the Purple Rain set, and right before I went out on tour, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think one of the things that I really reflected on the whole Prince thing is that that was during a time when a whole lot of us were making this decision about where to spend our lives. You know, is Minneapolis big enough, exciting enough, unusual enough, cool enough? And I was coming to that conclusion. But for a lot of people, Prince really sort of was a personification of that thing. About the time when this community said, no, we're not the Minneapolis, you know, or any of this kind of, we're not trying to be something else. We are Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're the coolest place in the world, and we're going to be exactly that. And I think Prince was much more influential on that than people think, because that's when the Minneapolis sound came in, you know, which was a lot of Prince, and of course, Flight Time and all of that. And all this stuff began to happen in local arts and local music. And now when you see this beer, music, bike scene and all that kind of stuff, it's all about saying, we don't have to be something else, you know. And it's why I love this whole North movement, not part of the Midwest, you know. We're cool, and even if we're cold, that's part of the coolness, you know. So,
where were you when you found out he passed 2 weeks ago?
I was on a plane to Portland to give a speech about bikes. And so I was super, super upset. I mean, I'm sad when people die. I like musicians, but for some reason, this just hit me dramatically harder than I thought. I think for that reason, it's like this piece of somebody who was really kind of, you know, leading us die. Now, Prince was not a person who was, you know, way out in the community on that, but I got a text from, or I saw on TV first, Van Jones telling about his connection with Prince. And then I texted Van. Van is this guy out of Oakland. I don't know if you know him or not, but he's led this movement about connecting the environment to equity. And many years ago, and he's in the book here, but he helped really talk to me about the connection between green and economic justice, and really kind of coached me through a lot, and has done all this great work. Well, what I didn't know until Prince died is Prince was funding a lot of that work. What I didn't know until Prince died is that Harvest Academy, this fantastic collection of schools that's growing in North Minneapolis, Prince was a critical part of that. And I think for a lot of us, it was cool that he was doing this, but frankly, there was kind of this thing, hey, this guy's sitting on all this money. Why doesn't he do anything in the community? He did a lot.
He did. He didn't want didn't want anybody to talk about it. He wanted it to be down on the down low. And then after he passed, everybody's like, you know, all these great things that he did. Makes you love him even more.
My wife and I went to see Purple Rain at Sabathany Center, you know, which was the old Bryant Junior High where he went to high school. And it was this really cool event because it was in the gym where he probably was. And you know, parts of that movie, you know, just as a dad raising a young woman, it's like, but most of it is just really, really so fun to see again. And I was a massive Time fan.
You
know, I love the Time. In fact, I saw them, Prince and the Time at Met Center a bunch of years ago. And that was such an amazing show because the Time is just, you know.
More stays the greatest.
Totally the greatest.
Next to Prince. I saw Purple Rain with my daughter, and she's 14. And, you know, there's been Prince in our house, but she's like, whatever. And then I took her to see Purple Rain, you know, the weekend after. And during the song Purple Rain, she leaned over and she whispered in my ear, Mom, I get it. Oh, okay. God. And then the waterworks turned on.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny, too, when you see now, there's something about his music that somehow gets, I don't know how to say this right, but, you know, to get really kind of uptight white people slightly funky.
Totally.
Speaking as one. But it's really sort of interesting, and I'm not sure what kind of subliminal cues are sent there, that because there are a lot of folks who, like, you'll be dancing and they'll be sitting on the sidelines, and then Prince comes on and I don't get it, but I'm happy about it. But there is something about it that he sends this sort of cue that crosses some sort of boundary. I don't know.
And then if even people who had funk just get funkier.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah, I can't speak from that perspective. I'm a wannabe funk.
Well, it's still, I mean, if it gets Minnesotans dancing, I'm all about it. I'm always excited when they let loose and do stuff like that.
My white man overbite goes away with Prince too. It's very impressive.
So, What's next? You start the new job next week, right?
No, July 1st.
July 1st.
And
wow.
I'm working full-time on Generation Next, working on education and equity. And so we're going to have a really smooth transition. July 1st, I start Minneapolis Foundation. We'll have a smooth thing going there. And, but I'm already, trying to get my head open to, I know a lot about the community. Mm-hmm. I also am really aware that there's a lot more to learn. And it's also really important when you go into something like the Minneapolis Foundation to learn things that you think you know, again, for the first time, through the prism of people in the community doing the work. And so what I'm trying to really do is to really get grounded on saying, isn't it great that you know a lot? Isn't it important that you know what you don't know? And that's a really important value I'm going to try to bring to that work. So there are some phenomenal people who have very quietly been doing what Prince did all these years with no recognition, doing amazing things. And much of that giving goes through the Minneapolis Foundation. So first off, it's a super honor to be working with people who have humbly given so much over the years. And it's also a real opportunity to be really out in the community, listen. And somebody will come in and say, I want to do something good for the community. What's good going on out there? So I better be prepared to not only act like an ex-mayor, but act like the ex-reporter I was, and just really try to get as deep as I can into the heart of the good things that may not be getting a lot of attention going on out there.
Did you bike here today?
I didn't, only because I came from the airport, and then I had to go out to speak to a really cool group in New Hope for all the volunteers for Robbinsdale schools. So no, I didn't bike here.
How many meetings do you take in a day?
Well, I'm not doing as many as I did. When I was mayor, I would do like 10 to 15 meetings a day. But you can do that because, and I cover this in the book about some of the people around you, like Jana Hottinger, for instance, started as my deputy scheduler, then deputy chief of staff. Now she's running administration at Gen Next. So having people like her around where you can, if you're really in the moment, then people can tell you where to go, but you have to bounce back and forth. Like my book starts at a horrible funeral for a young man named Brian Cole that was really devastatingly emotional. And then within 20 minutes after leaving the funeral, I'm on stage dressed as Paul Revere, signing a Declaration of Energy Independence, and then off to, that's kind of how the book starts. And, but that's kind of what you have to do in a job like that. My current job at Generation Next is more about diving really deep into issues. So I will spend like a couple hours in a room with people batting around data or people talking about really deep systems change. And I really like that because I was spread so thin as mayor. This allows me to go much deeper on really what to do to get at some of these deep education disparities.
One of the guys at work in the office here, they were like, I bet he rides his bike in. And I bet they've made you the Paul Bunyan of mayors. It's like, well, I've heard that RT could swim, the Mississippi River. I'm like, well, you know what? I believe he could, but he won't.
I really want to swim the Mississippi River, but I really want us to do more to clean the water there.
Yeah.
But I swim in the lakes all the time. So like in the summers, I'm in Harriet or Calhoun, sometimes Cedar, about 4 or 5 times a week.
Wow.
And again, this should not be the generation that loses the ability to swim in our lakes. We can swim in our lakes, and that is a great thing. And when I've done the triathlon in Nokomis, it's good. But it is absolutely time for us to get much more clear about the fact those perfect lawns that you have are perfectly not great for the lake. So do not put phosphorus on it. And I don't care if you've got some creeping Charlie or dandelions on it, if that means that we're not swimming through a bunch of crap in the lakes.
Right.
So, we were given these. This is a legacy of centuries of Native people, of the people who founded what we now call Minneapolis, making sure that nobody or almost nobody owns the property right on the lake, so we all get it. So are we going to fritter this thing away by putting a bunch of crap on our lawns and not really being mindful of the lakes? Or we've got to get serious about this.
Wow.
Sorry to get heavy on you,
Barb. No, I'm like, he could.
All the time in lakes.
So do you know where Hidden Beach is?
Yes.
Ah, that's the best thing ever.
Well, I knew where that was when I was 14 or 15, and it was a very naughty, wonderful place to go.
Right.
Especially growing up in the late 60s and early 70s, where you can imagine it was a wonderfully naughty place to go. But now it's not. No, it's not.
No, it's still taboo, though, because you never know what you're going to find there. So you're a big Twins fan.
I'm a massive Twins fan, yes. And I tweet a rhyme after every Twins win. And unfortunately, I haven't had to be doing a lot of rhyming right now.
A couple times this year, huh?
I've also started a hashtag that I want to catch on. Gung Ho for Byung Ho.
Oh.
And the number 4, too.
Okay.
So that, I think, is a T-shirt that you should start, Barb, because that can be your own. Gung Ho for Byung Ho.
You know what? I might have, I know a couple of people that work with the Twins. I'll throw that out there and see what happens.
No, but every single Twins win, I tweet a rhyme, and I'm going to keep doing that. I did tweet a sad poem the other day, but the Twins are a phenomenal team. Okay, this is a bad stretch, but this team is going to be, I mean, they have the greatest young talent anywhere. They're going to put it all together, and it'll be fine. This is just, part of a several-year process.
It just takes a little while. You got to build from something.
Yeah, every single sports team. We are coming out of our long Minnesota sports nightmare, okay? Pretty much every sports team is moving in the right direction. Here. So, and the Twins definitely are. So don't give up hope right now. And, yeah.
Yeah, I'll see you at the ballpark.
Yes, you definitely will.